we're at the beautiful All Saints Parish Church, Wath upon Dearne. It's a Grade 1 listed building and it's over 1,000 years old. There's stonework here from the Saxon period. And we're just chiming 7 o'clock now. There's a full peal of bells in the tower. I've had the enjoyment of actually being in there when they've been ringing the bells. It really is well worth a visit when you are able to. But we're not going to speak about the church tonight. We're going to speak about the churchyard and the importance of Wath as a parish, and it was like the over Swinton, because Swinton didn't have its own parish status. So people from the village of Swinton had to come here to be married, for their children to be baptised, and also to be laid to rest. So we're going to now look at some Georgian graves which relate to Swinton, and also link that with the pottery industry of the town. So in this particular corner of the churchyard, we can identify quite a number of people who originated from Swinton, and in many of the graves do actually give the place of residence. And we have here the body of William Jackson of Swinton, and quite clearly it says in this parish, because Swinton didn't have its own parish status. The first burial in Swinton took place in 1817. So here we have clearly within this area the grave of William Jackson and the body of Mary, his wife, which says also of Swinton. He died in 1843, and Mary in 1743, and Mary in 1765. We'll move on a little bit over here. Here lies the remains of Sarah, the wife of John Wade, surgeon of this place. And it says here that she was the daughter of the late John and Hannah Bramald of Swinton. So here we have the daughter Sarah, daughter of John and Hannah Bramald. Near this place is the body of her husband. He died after Sarah, and he's also buried with his second wife, so not in this same grave. The graves in this section of Wath churchyard from the east to west run have been laid flat to allow this pathway. But I think we can identify that in this corner, probably not by accident, we do have a sort of Swinton contingent. We move over here. Again, we're picking it up here. Here lies the body of William Pullen of Swinton. It says he's a yeoman, 1785, another Georgian grave. Let's step a little further backwards here. Here lies the body of John Woodall of Swinton. Again, Sarah Woodall, his mother, his brother. Moving back, it's slightly faded now, but we can make out we have another Swinton resident here. There's the name of Swinton, the family details. Again, slightly faded. We have another reference to Swinton yeoman here, but in 1738, another Georgian grave. And another grave here. It says near this place is the body of Anne, the daughter of William and Elizabeth Bingley of Swinton again, and the body of John Wager of Swinton again. Now, in the pottery industry, Bingley Wood & Co were proprietors of Swinton Pottery from 1778. Now I want to talk to you about a little bit more about John Bramall. But first let's start with his father. His father was George Bramall, and he was actually, he wasn't a potter, he was Swinton's blacksmith. And he died in 1785 and was buried in Wath churchyard with his wife Mary. Their oldest son, George Jr., actually had moved to London. Now normally he would have taken over the family business, but with him being a London resident, that wasn't possible. So even though he received a cash inheritance from George Bramall. The properties actually went to his other son called John Bramall, and he was actually the only other surviving male child of George and Mary. Not only was John a pottery businessman, but he was involved very much in the public affairs of the district, of the Swinton district. He was appointed as surveyor of highways. He was a collector of land tax, quite an unpopular role, but a very necessary role. He was also became a warden of Swinton Chapel. The family, they had 4 boys. They had William, Thomas, George Frederick, and lastly John Wager. The 2 girls were Anne and Sarah. We've also seen already the grave of Sarah over there. She died after her father. Anne, however, died before, and so Anne was also buried here, as was his wife, who also is buried here. So John was left. He suffered bereavement of his daughter Anne in 1810, his son William in 1813, and his wife in 1814. John Bramall passed away in 1819, aged 78 years, and again, because his family were here in Wath, even though Swinton churchyard had opened, he opted for burial in Wath. We do need to thank John, because it was him that actually negotiated with Earl Fitzwilliam the loan that kept Swinton pottery going. He learnt that the Leeds partnership was actually planning to get rid of the jobs in Swinton completely and close it down. And so he negotiated with Earl Fitzwilliam, who advanced cash to keep that pottery going. Now that wasn't just for charitable purposes. The Earl Fitzwilliam owned many mineral rights, and the pottery consumed vast amounts of coal. Also, people who worked in the pottery, many of them would have been tenants of Earl Fitzwilliam, and so it's difficult to pay your rent when you haven't got a job. So it wasn't purely a charitable, it was a clear business decision by Earl Fitzwilliam to keep Swinton pottery going. So with references in Wath, I don't think this corner of Wath churchyard by accident has got a cluster of Swinton burials. I think something was going on here, which sort of kept the Swinton residents a little bit together in this corner. We cannot sort of leave the pottery industry alone without mentioning a further pottery and a further connection to Wath and Swinton, and that relates to a man called John Green. Now John Green lived in Newell, Wath, and he was the man who founded Swinton's Don Pottery in partnership with John and William Bramall. He was one of the family of Leeds, the Greens of Leeds pottery. He had that connection. He went on to found the Don Pottery. He obtained a plot of swampy land down towards the Mexborough end of Swinton and created that pottery. Really good, a good location for getting the pots away via the Sheffield and South Yorkshire navigation, right at the side of the canal. Ceramics are very brittle, and so a barge carrying them away would take them away nice and gently, as opposed to a bumpy road journey. So when John Green passed away, the Don pottery business went over to his son, also called John, but John had been a partner, John Jr. had been a partner in the Don pottery right from its formation. So then the rest of the Green family actually were buried in Swinton, as indeed were most of the sons of John Bramall. Quite clearly, the business had moved to Swinton, and we have a cluster of graves in Swinton churchyard, which we refer to as Potter's Corner, which many of the Bramall family are laid to rest in. But that's taking nothing away from Wath, of course, because this was the spiritual centre. It's still the deanery area, and dotted around Wath churchyard, actually, there are references to people from West Melton, to Brampton, to Abdy, and other communities now which have evolved into their own parishes. So All Saints Church at Wath and All Saints Churchyard, well worth a visit when you are able to come along. Thank you.